Peace and love. This is a official Cancer North Node live reading for all of the signs. It's your girl Karina Dean bringing you the breakdown of the North Nodal transition. If you don't know what the North Node is, the North Node is the point of the moon. The North and South Node are the points of the moon. And if you're not familiar with astrology, you may be thinking, this live is just for Cancers. But in fact, everyone has Cancer in their birth chart. And so where the North Node goes is where we are going to be experiencing a lot of changes and manifestation. So welcome, welcome. If you're tuning in, please go ahead and like and share. If you have any Cancers in your life, any sun in Cancer, moon in Cancer, Cancer risings, share and let them know that this is a very awesome, spectacular time for them and that they should be looking forward to over a year of manifestation abilities. The Cancer North Node is currently happening and will continue to happen all through 2019. In fact, it is a very long transit because it actually will end in June of 2020. So this is a period of time that is truly extended. And honestly, 2019 is a year where not too much major planetary transits are going to be shifting. 2019, the planets, except for the personal planets, of course, but the outside planets are pretty much staying where they are, and they won't be moving much at all, like transiting signs. So it's a stabilizing time. Welcome, Tiffany. She's a Cancer Sun, Mercury in Cancer. Wow, that's awesome and very significant. So I'm going to go into personal planets as well since you're here with me, Tiffany. And but first I want to break down the sign of Cancer. So if you're tuning in, do you know the zodiac sign of Cancer? What is Cancer made of, right? What is the zodiac sign made of? Cancer is a water sign and it is a cardinal sign. It is because it is at the beginning of the summer season. So the cardinal signs start the season. So Cancer is an initiating energy. It does start things. It is more of a proactive energy. Cancer is also ruled by the moon. So it is reflective, it is sensitive, it is emotional. And Cancer rules in the body over the breasts. This is the area where we get our milk when we are infants. The breasts are or the chest area, right, is where the heart lives. So Cancer is about compassion, it's about nurturing, and it's about feeding. So what we're dealing with is a axis of South Node in Capricorn and the North Node in Cancer. So the South Node in Capricorn states that this is where we have become a lot more acquainted with. And through this transit, we are to gain more familiarity with our Cancerian traits. So what this means is that we may have become a lot more business minded. We have maybe started to put more principles of business and being kind of cold to one another, being insensitive to one another, getting things done, maybe not necessarily putting the emotions at the center of our attention. And so with the Capricorn South Node, it's saying that, look, we've got this down. We've got the business part down. We're a little harsh, you know. We're dealing with our time. We're dealing with being a lot more aware of our karmic cycles. We're dealing with that in a way that we are all too familiar with. So what is becoming foreign for us is that we aren't really taking care of our sensitive nature. We're not really paying attention to how we can be more emotional and more compassionate with how we operate with one another. Cancer is a sign of heritage and family. So this is also about how it is that we can get closer to our family. How can we find family in different areas of our lives. Okay? Where you have Cancer is where you can tap into your vulnerability. It's where you deal with your feelings of guilt. It's where you are able to nurture others, almost feed them, literally or metaphorically. Cancer rules over the fourth house, and this is the area that has to do with shelter, home life, real estate. So on a global level, I think that we will see a lot more topics when it comes to home life, maybe different ways of living. Homegrown things, homemade things might be something that is more popular. We also might find that real estate becomes something that is in the news, or more of a global topic, more popularized topic for people to talk about. Homelessness might also be something that takes the forefront in our lives. So what we're dealing with now is a chance to be more compassionate with one another. So let's go through the signs. If you are an Aries, Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon, but Aries rising to the main focal point, Cancer, the North Node will be in your fourth house, and this is a chance for you to release your career. So for Aries, you look at career, you see the harshness of the global world. You're not very compassionate in this area. You understand that you need to have thick skin out there in the world as you grow your career. We get all of that. But for Aries rising, sun and moon to a second degree, the Cancer North Node wants you to focus on your home life. So you are atypical for being the one to be more at home, to tend to the needs of the household, to help make sure that the structure of your shelter, right? So making sure that everything is working in the household. Everything is working and operating in your family. The Cancer North Node is asking for you to accomplish your goals through looking and handling these areas. If you're able to handle these areas, you will find that your career blossoms. So learning how to release is the key. Okay. For Taurus, Cancer is going to be in, okay, so for Taurus, Cancer is in your third house, which means that the Capricorn South Node is in your ninth house. So Taurus, you are, you're dealing with releasing maybe a preacher or like some sort of guru or some sort of form of culture or spirituality. And you're coming more into your own sense of what are your objective points of views. Rather, more than, I'm sorry, for Taurus, it's more about your subjective points of views. How is it that you stand out from the crowd or stand out from the choir? How is it that you're a little bit different in your spirituality practices? For Taurus, it's a chance for you to find your family in your neighborhood. Maybe it's a chance for you to get more connected with those in your neighborhood. Working more with the transit system, getting more connected with your car. This might be a time where Taurus rising specifically, but sun or moon to a second degree may purchase a car, right? May purchase a car that they maybe even live out of or spend a lot of time in. It might be a time where you're traveling short distances. And so it will be a time to focus in on how it is that you're taking care of that which carries you around, what are the transiting systems that you use. So even the train system, if you live in an urban area like I do, then maybe you will be focused more on the train system, right? Maybe you've been spending some time away from all of this and you haven't had your car in a while, or you haven't owned your own car in a while, or you haven't taken the train in a while, or you haven't even really spoken to a neighbor in a long time. So this is a chance for Taurus to come together and be able to be in their neighborhood, be active and see everything as a working unit and as a family. You may find that you learn more about your heritage in your neighborhood. Maybe there are cultural things that you can get into for Taurus at this time. When it comes to your goals, I want you to focus on how you can be more active in your neighborhood and work more with those who are nearby to you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Jamila. Welcome, Nova Moon. Welcome, everyone. So I've gone through Aries and Taurus. We're moving on to Gemini. Gemini, if you're Gemini rising, Gemini moon or sun to a lesser degree, then for you, this is happening in the area of your money. The North Node in Cancer wants you to be more nurturing when it comes to how it is that you make your moolah, right? So for Gemini, you are also dealing with the emotional status of making money. How do you feel about working for the company that you work for? How do you feel about the work that you do in order to gain income? You may have been focusing a lot, Gemini, on the resources of another. And so the North Node is saying that you can accomplish your goals by being more resourceful. So you're going to have to pull from the inside of you, from all that you know, all that you have and can create, and make money out of your own two hands, right? Make money out of your own ability to nurture others. So Gemini, it's a great time, and you naturally have this ability, but you may have been focused a lot on another person's resources, how another person's making money, and using their resources rather than tapping into your own ability to make money. In order to do so, you're going to need to practice compassionate and sensitivity when it comes to the dealings of those whom you work for, or those who are promising money to you. Working in a place in which you provide value to others and you nurture them, you feed them, and the money will come in. So this is how you're going to accomplish your goals. For Gemini, you need to be more resourceful. Okay, so we've gone through Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, and I am doing this on a house system, so it is strongest for your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can hit me up. I'll show you how to get it. Your sun and moon sign do work to a lesser degree, but it will be the strongest if you know your rising. So let's talk about Cancer, and I will go through the personal planets for Cancer. Do you know somebody who's got a Cancer sun or Cancer moon? If so, please like and share this and tag them. Let them know that the North Node moving into their sign is a major deal. For Cancers out there, they have focused a lot on their business partners, marriage partners, romantic partners. They have spent a lot of time, maybe even creating businesses with their partners, or maybe they are dealing with the fact that maybe they're dealing with separation of their partners. But there's been a lot of focus on the other person. So what it's time now is for Cancer to become their own superhero. It's time for Cancers to find self-reliance. The North Node is moving into your sign, so it's all about how it is that you can take care and nurture yourself. You know, how can you build a home inside of your own body? How can you be more comfortable inside of your own temple? This may be a time where you need to be more compassionate about how you identify as, what your personality as, right? So this might be a time where you're experiencing a major shift in identity. Because your sign rules over things like real estate and homes, you may be purchasing a home yourself. You may be moving in or changing real estate. You may be dealing with concepts of homelessness, and the North Node wants you to manifest a home. So if you are in an unfortunate state of homelessness, this is a year where you can utilize and accomplish your goals in finding a place for yourself. So for Cancer Sun, this is a chance for you to shine and express yourself and to be more selfish, right? the sun and the rising are similar, but where the rising is, it's really about how you present yourself to acquaintances and strangers, and how people who don't really know you, like, get to know you at this time. So maybe you're dealing with a change of appearance if you're Cancer rising. For Cancer suns, this will be a chance for you to stand in your own spirituality and what I would call priesthood. Or since we're dealing with the moon and it's a water sign and feminine energy, becoming a priestess. And with the sun here, it's about expressing your own spiritual growth, expressing yourself, excuse me, expressing yourself in a new, free, and innovative way. For Cancer moon, this is a chance for you to be finding your emotional desires and actualizing them, realizing those desires. And of course, because Cancer is a sign of cooking, right, this will be a chance for Cancer moons to maybe find, dishes and ways in which you can nurture yourself through some art of feeding yourself, right? In the sense of, maybe it's literally, but I feel like it's more emotionally, metaphorically. How can you pamper, feed, nurture your own emotional state? Because we're dealing with a lot of moon energy, for Cancer moons, I would say to keep in mind the dark side of the moon, which is to naturally be a little bit more clingy, to be a little bit more moody, to allow guilt to overcome you. Don't focus on any of these things, but just be aware. If you find that you're dealing with a lot of moodiness, if you're dealing with a lot of guilt, it's a time to release that, right? Or ride the wave of it as well. You can ride the wave. But overall, for Cancers out there, it's about you. It's about you coming into your own light, getting all the attention that you deserve, and manifesting a place that feels comforting to you. Okay, so moving on, we're dealing with Leo rising, and Leo sun and moon to a secondary degree. And please, if you're tuning in and you have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer. And if you have, any Cancers in your life, let me know who is a Cancer in your life. If you have Cancer positions, Mars, or we do have Mercury, so I want to talk about Mercury. Before I get into Leo, let's talk about Mercury. If you have a Mercury in Cancer and the North Node is coming to this position, this is a time in which a writing platform is available to you to manifest your goals. So maybe you might write a cookbook for literal Mercury in Cancer, or maybe it's just a time in which you blog about your emotional transformation. It could be a time where you're ready to self-publish your own book, or be on a radio platform. Because it is emotional, this could definitely be through song or through acting or through any sort of emotional state, but it's through some sort of publishing. So it could be script writing, maybe songwriting. Any of the things that have to do with that would definitely be mercurial, in the sense of Mercury in Cancer meeting the North Node. Awesome. So Tiffany has Mercury in Cancer. She says that she's thinking about writing a book and a podcast. Well, I would definitely utilize this energy from now until 2020 to manifest that book and podcast. Okay? And we can talk a lot more about what your ideas are, or if you feel comfortable in sharing it in the live, what it is that you're interested in or what topics you want to do. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get you realizing your goals and why. Why do you want to write a book and manifest a podcast? Mercury is going to help you do it. Mercury in the North Node. But why do you want to write that book, right? Tiffany got offered to be on the album last week. Look at that. North Node. What position, Tiffany? What degree is your Mercury in Cancer? Jamila, welcome. She says her baby boy is a Cancer sun, Gemini rising. Lovely. So yes, for the babies out there, if you have a child as a Cancer and the North Node is hitting their sun, they will be highly expressive during this time, and it's a chance for you to really get to know their personalities. It's a chance for them to be more about themselves, to discover themselves, and the best thing you could do is support that journey as they get to know who they are. 13 degrees. Okay, great. So in one form of astrology, 13 degrees is actually Aries energy. So Aries with your Mercury there. Um, this is about making it happen fast. So you really want to work on that podcast, work on creating imperfect actions. Don't worry about being perfect. Just work on making it happen, and everything else will take care of itself. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on. We're talking about the North Node in Cancer, and if you're tuning in and you know somebody who has a Cancer or is Cancer in your life, go ahead and share it and let them know that this is a great time for them. But everybody has Cancer in their chart. Where you have Cancer is where you're more vulnerable, where you're more passionate, where you tend to be more about your family. But the thing is that Capricorn has the South Node, so that's where we've been focused on. We've been focused on the business, we've been focused on our ambitions and on our goals. That's why this is about how to accomplish your goals, but it's not in the way that you typically would take with the Capricorn ruthlessness. It's about using your compassion. So how can you be a spiritual healer? Because Cancer is all about the priestess. How can you be a spiritual healer and heal people through therapy, through nurturing, right, in order to accomplish your goals? Welcome to Corey Mack. He says he has a Cancer sun in the 4th house. Wow. So that means that you probably have Aries rising with Cancer sun in the 4th house. That means that it's all about your sense of emotional foundation, and it is about you gaining a house, gaining shelter, real estate, being in a place that makes you feel worthy, that makes you feel comfortable. So a lot of focus is happening on your household during this transit for Jacori. Okay, let's move on to Leos. I'm sorry, Leos, I've been stalling here. So if you're a Leo rising, this will apply to you. And if you're Leo sun and moon, this will apply to you to a lesser degree, but still very much so. So Cancer is a very spiritual sign. And for Leos out there, Cancer represents the area that has to do with your undoing. Okay, so what has been happening here is that you've been dealing, Leo, with a lot of public enemies, people who maybe have, a little bit of a jealousy streak, or they're just not able to handle your energy, your exuberance for life, right? And the Capricorn energy is making you think that the best way to handle this is to be a little cutthroat, to be a little shady, or to even maybe be more in the place where, you push people to the side. You may find yourself during this Cancer North Node choosing to take a sabbatical from the work that you do. You may be choosing to be more in your solitude during this time for Leo risings and Sun and Moon to a lesser degree, because all of that energy that has been pushing through Capricorn, especially with Saturn there. Ooh, I forgot to mention that it might just be a boss, some kind of manager that's pushing you too hard, some kind of business entity, stuck up the ass, hardcore kind of person that is just absolutely pushing you out of this realm of wanting to deal with people, wanting to deal with public enemies, and you're ready to be on your own, ready to have some more meditative states of mind and being. So it will be a time, especially because Cancer rules over water, that you may choose to travel back to a homeland overseas over water if you have like a heritage that is, across the seas. So for Leos, you might be choosing to take a long trip somewhere. You might be choosing to take a leave of absence from the work that you do. You may be choosing to gain more relationship with your meditative, meditative practice. This may be a time where you are even more in tune with the ancestors and being able to speak to them and develop strong relationships with the ancestors of your close family, more than likely from the mother's side, but it could be the father's side too. Getting more acquainted with your feminine womanhood through the spiritual aspects. So this is a huge time for Leos. You'll be more than likely wanting to help people who are in need, wanting to help people who can't help themselves. You might find yourself in places like hospitals, or situations where people need your help and you're willing to give in a charity form. So the best way for Leos to accomplish their goals is to take a leave of absence from hard work, take traveling, and go get out of, literally leave the country if you have to, for if you can, and also help others who are in need. Give charitably, and you will find that your goals will be realized through the Cancer North Node. Okay, so we're moving on to Virgo. For Virgo, Cancer is in an area that has to do with the groups and organizations that you belong to, and more than likely, because Cancer is a sign of females, you are dealing with a unfamiliarity in joining an organization that is maybe led by females, or about everybody in the organization is female goal oriented. The progression of the female, of that sex side of, dealing with anything that has to do with women. And for our Virgos out there, Virgo, you're actually a masculine sign, so this may not always be very, easy, but it is a chance for you to have an opportunity to be seen as very progressive for the females out there. You are a little bit unfamiliar with this, but you're really good at adapting, right? You've probably been spending a lot of time working on your creative expression and practicing really hard, and maybe working on something that nobody has really seen. But now it's time for you to bring that to the organization, bring your creative talents and projects to a bigger platform for other people to utilize and use as a form to help save humanity and to bring things into actualization of that. So for Virgo risings especially, but for Sun and Moon to a lesser degree, this is a time also where you are coming back to your old dreams and wishes for yourself. Maybe you have grown detached from them, and it will be a chance for you to rekindle that relationship and really just find a family of friends that you really truly can trust and feel comfortable around. Okay, so moving on from Virgo is Libra, and Libra, this is a major shift for you because it is an angular position. And for Libra, Cancer is in the 10th house of career, and you have a very strong sensitivity to dealing with the Saturnian 10th house of ruthlessness and, getting to the top and making your way to the top. This is a time in which you are called to find the ambition that you can, to work on your reputation, and to go after your career, to build your career. And you have been dealing a lot and focusing a lot on home and dealing with the business of home, but it will be time now for you to release that and move into how you want the world to know you as, and what is your legacy going to be that you leave behind. And there have been times where you may have just avoided the career altogether because, this is an area where you're a lot more sensitive and vulnerable than others can handle. I mean, compared to others, you may have just quit because, it's a ruthless world out there. But it is time now for you to show how strong compassion can be when you're doing career building, how strong it can be to be sensitive, and you will win. The North Node is allowing you to do this. It's calling for you to have the courage to go out there and do it, and you will win. You always could have won, but you may have shied away from it. Now's the time to experience your goals as you've always wanted them, with the true talent of compassion that you have to share with the world. For my Scorpios out there, this is a time in which you are called to teach. It is a time in which you are no longer the student and you're moving into a place where you're giving your own workshops, where you're, being called at the collegiate level to be a professor. You are being called to be seen as a guru, and people will flock to you for that very reason. There is much that you have experienced and grown with Jupiter in your sign. Jupiter has left your sign, and your whole level and perspective on life is now being called to be more positive, to be more open, to be more objective minded than narrow minded. And if you're able to work in this place of having an open mind, of being more compassionate, of finding the connections with people from cultures that are not your own, you will truly grow in ways that you have never imagined. And the true transformation has just begun because of that. Okay, so Scorpio rising's here. Yes, so Scorpio rising, Scorpios have had such a awesome year, intense year, but wow, I'm sure that you are riding on a high wave, and what's happening next is going to be even better because Sagittarius is in the area of building your wealth and your money, and then Cancer is in the area of being this teacher, being this guru. So a lot of things are opening very wide for Scorpio risings out there. Hi, Quinn Reeves. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so I've been going through all the signs. I'm up to Sagittarius now. But if you would like to hear the breakdown of the Cancer North Node, you can just go ahead and start from the beginning. And I'll probably do a timestamp for all the signs for anybody who's listening in on the playback. So for Sagittarius, this is a time in which you will be coming closer to an intimate partner. For Sag, you have spent a lot of time, building and being ambitious about your money, being more about yourself. Excuse me. And it's a very powerful time because now you have Jupiter in your sign, bringing and expanding your world as it should be, right? Bringing back the joy, the optimism. And now it's time for you to ride the wave of the Cancer North Node in the area of sex and intimacy. So this is a place where it's about trusting somebody else, coming closer to somebody through that intimate, right, attraction, and really also having a chance to rely on somebody else, right? So we're dealing with that dominant versus like receptive or, subdominant. We're dealing with those roles changing back and forth in this area of life. And it's also a new beginning for you because it's an area of transformation. So for a Sagittarius out there, your transformation has been a lot more on the undercut, and now it's about to take a huge leap forward, and one that you can truly see and that others can see. But it's most specifically this intimate partner that you are with. So for Sagittarius, it's also about secrets. And secrets don't always have to be bad. Secrets can be something that in the etymology would be sacred. So being able to have that place of trust and share something sacred with someone else as well. For Capricorns out there, this is a time in which you are dealing with a lot of changes because you have the South Node in your sign. So everything that you know about yourself, Capricorn rising, everything that people know about you, right? And that personality that you portray and project out into the world is now being released through the South Node. And it's a time in which you will be working closely with another partner, more than likely somebody who brings out the more feminine side to your nature, the more compassionate side, the more sensitive side. And Capricorns typically don't show this about themselves, but it is in their partner that they can tap into this emotional, state of being. And the Cancer North Node wants you to go towards a committed relationship. So Capricorn, this could be on a romantic level like marriage, or it could be business, but it is a time in which it's less about you, and everything that you know about you is kind of going through a disintegration process. And you're going to find self, you're going to find new identities through this partner, through this commitment that you're making, to someone else or to a business or to whatever it is that is obviously outside of you. So it's also about making a verbal or a contractual commitment that requires you to think about somebody else and their needs. Okay, so the South, no, you'll be dealing with a lot of your own ego and how you can merge your ego. There's a lot of spiritual advice about releasing or surrendering the ego. I think that's one way to look at it, but I truly think that you are still, an egoic entity. So it's about learning how to merge the two together, yours and somebody else's. So this is all about merging. It's about becoming something else. But through this process, this is where Capricorns are going to really love this, especially my Capricorn risings. The seventh house area is all about your relation to other people. And then the moon is actually relation to females. So this could be a chance for you to completely blow up when it comes to a business goal that you have. You might be able to find yourself gaining a lot of female admirers through the fact that you're tapping into this vulnerability. So tap into that vulnerability and experience a transformation like no other. Okay, so moving on to Aquarius, this is happening in an area for you that has to do with your day-to-day life, your activities, and it's about moving into a position or moving into your vocation. What is your calling? You might be coming into a crossroads of maybe what your family has done before. This might be like a job or work environment that your family is a part of, or your family, like the family business. So if it's not a business that your family owns, then maybe it's like a job or a vocation that somebody in your family once did. So that could also be it for Aquarius, but it is ultimately a time for you to move towards working and to refine your daily habits. So what you've been doing is dealing with, a very strict and kind of solo lifestyle. And now you're going to be coming back more into this place where your daily life has a lot more people in it. People who are not just far away or just going through the actions or the motions of work, but people who want to like get in your face and when you're at work, you know, people who want to be friendly, people who want to be emotional, vulnerable with you in that workspace. And how you're going to accomplish your goals is really allowing yourself to go there with these people and to find your family in your work environment. Grow your family in your work environment. And if you're able to do so, you will find that your spirituality grows immensely as you're able to move toward this unfamiliar space. And you naturally have the abilities to do so, but maybe you don't or haven't really spent a lot of time really just working, just clocking in and doing that everyday relationship work with the people that really matter when it comes to your vocation, like your calling. And these could be your clients, customers, or the people that work for you, or the people that work with you, or it could even be your own boss, right? But everybody's working towards something. And so creating these relationships and making them sound is only going to really enhance that motivation to walk in your destiny. So for Pisces, this is happening in an area that has to do with love and romance and joy. And so it's a very exciting time for Pisces because you are walking into a place where you naturally are good at, which is being very creative and being able to emote, you know, indulge in your emotions, and it becomes something that is worthy or valuable to others because they can relate to you on that essence. And you've spent a lot of time worrying about your friends, and you spent a lot of time worrying about followers and fans and people who support you, and you may have found it a little cold over there. And this Cancer North Node is calling for Pisces, Pisces rising, but Sun and Moon to a secondary degree, to go back to what you're really, to what it's all about. Because sometimes we can get so trapped in the numbers. Sometimes we can get so trapped in the marketing. You know, sometimes you can forget that it's the essence of the creation itself that brings the following in, that brings the fans in. So if you release the need to count your, you know, count the people who's watching and listening and coming to the art gallery, or you know, coming to the poetry you know, cafe, or you know, tuning into your music, or if you just stop counting them and just release the need to control the fans or the followers or the support, and just go back to that place where your creation is nurturing you, and how your creations can nurture others. And you are going to, you know, tap into such exquisite joy. And it might not feel familiar. It may not even feel safe because you've been dealing with so much Capricorn energy that has been pushing you to see reality in the harsh world. And this Cancer North Node is bringing back a softness, a tenderness that is truly more in sync with your own, you know, with your own sign. It's a water sign. It is trine to you. It brings gifts, opportunities, blessings, and just everything that feels good, all the feel goods. So for Pisces, I want you to take some time also to get more into your romantic space. This may be a time that you start dating again, or you know, if you're in a relationship, then maybe you start dating more in your relationship, but just coming to this place where you are more romantic because you're naturally a romantic sign. The other thing is that this is an area that has to do with like short-term relationships, so be very comfortable with a lot of people coming in and out for this time period. And the Cancer North Node is giving you muses of inspiration for your creations. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you're listening on the playback, Thank you. I'm going to provide for you one last note, which is that the South Node and Saturn are going to be conjunct from April 2019 to October 2019. And this is beyond strange energy to me. But what's even more strange is that I'm born with the South Node conjunct Saturn. So look, as your astrologer, somebody who lives every day with this energy, you're going to have a fight with yourself at some point in which you want to hold on to all that Capricorn ruthlessness. You're going to want to just think about that business. You're going to want to go back to the opposite of where Cancer is. And it is a seesawing effect, especially because Saturn is there, because Saturn is going to make you focus on it, right? So one of the things you can really utilize Saturn, with Saturn being conjunct to the South Node, is learning how to be disciplined, but be disciplined in letting go. If you think about like an addict, right, who has to change their whole habit, you know, they have to change their habits in order to thrive as being sober or clean. They can't continue to go back to the same places that they once were before. They can't always continue to hang out with the same people that they did before. So see Saturn in the North Node as the space where you have to be disciplined in not going there. Don't go there. Allow it to be released. In Eastern astrology, they say they actually focus more on the South Node because the spiritual act of releasing is the act of manifestation. So through the Saturnian South Node conjunction that happens in April to October, you're called to work on your spiritual ability to let go. And in Buddhism, they talk about how the art of letting go is the way in order to free yourself from suffering. So I think that this is also a message to be had, which is that if you're able to let go, then you will suffer less and you will actualize your goals even faster. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that I will see you guys on the next live. There will be less transiting lives, and I'll be talking more about astrology topics. If you have any requests for an astrological topic that you would like to get to know more about, please go ahead and leave it in the comments. And I will definitely read through, reply to the comments as I see them come in, and make sure to, to abide by your requests. Have a good evening, and I will see you in the next live.